Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Two Doomed Men podcast, the greatest, ready? The greatest podcast in the history of the country, perhaps even the world by far. I don't think anyone comes close.
Oh no! What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You are listening to the Two Doomed Men podcast. As always, it's Scagz and yours truly, the Captain. And we are here to welcome back Donald J. Trump as the 47th president. And Doom Nation, the golden age of the Two Doomed Men podcast starts now.
I like that. Two really good intros to the last two episodes in a row. Very nice. Yeah, I decided to start. Go ahead. What are you saying?
I got to say, though, if Trump holds all his promises and fixes the country, the golden age of the Two Doomed Men podcast might
be over. It's over.
Just us coming to an end.
Yeah, just gonna be us smoking joints and cigars and
playing video games. Yeah,
playing Halo 2 and GTA. Yeah, I decided to start this one off with people screaming at 12:01 in San Francisco at the edge of a mountain. We were looking forward to the people having mental breakdowns videos, and I'll be honest with you, I was a little disappointed. There weren't that many. There was just that one. I mean, it was a scenic mental breakdown. I like that one.
Were you sure they
very
were
relaxing backdrop?
Were you sure that they were screaming at Donald Trump, or that a wildfire was coming to burn down their homes and kill them?
Hey, dude, at this point could be either or. Either or. Yeah, man. So we're going to be talking about the inauguration tonight, what Donald Trump has been up to, which I was just texting our group chat earlier. I think it's hysterical because after the inauguration today, he rented it out like the Capital One Arena. And, he just has all his supporters there, like 20,000 people. And he's just signing executive orders. Yeah. Like the swag of Donald Trump. You have to hand it to him to do something like that.
He is
normally, the president goes back to the White House and then he gets to work and starts signing executive orders and things like that in the White House. No, Donald Trump went to Capital One Arena and is there with, I think he's back at the White House now, but literally like it's an event, like WWE. I was telling you, each time he was signing an executive order, he was throwing pens into the crowd after and shit like that. I mean, you really have to hand it to the man. His sense of marketing skills is bar none, without a doubt.
Yeah. We should go check eBay to see if anybody's selling those pens right now.
It's probably
$100,000 Sharpie.
Imagine,
his first executive order though made me laugh because I was looking. You sent it on was it Breaking 911 from their Twitter feed or whatever, and I went and checked it out. And the first one he signed was reversing 78 of the Biden era executive orders, and boy, that was beautiful.
Yeah, rescinding 78 Biden era executive actions, orders, and memoranda. You know that
I would like to get a list of the 78 though. Like,
that brings me back, dude, to our episode when Biden was inaugurated, and we had said like this is so ridiculous now that each president is going to just ping pong each other back and forth. We've made that point a million times the past 4 years, but kind of to piggyback on a point I made to Garrett on our last episode. Forget about even the fact that we as Americans think that that's kind of a ridiculous way to govern. Think about Vladimir Putin, how he views something like that, right? Or whatever adversary who also doesn't like the American deep state's way of doing business. Even if you do get a Donald Trump in who's going to do the right thing, and then he signs a bunch of executive orders that kind of get things on the right track, it's not guaranteed because
it's a 4-year
reformed. The next president will come back in and just reenact the old policy that hates Vladimir Putin or Iran or China or whatever it might be. You know, and hostilities will continue.
I had said this, it's a bit extreme. It's not, the way forward by any means, but I said I was like, we need, back then when I said this, I was more pro GOP, but it's really just an America first, policy. We need like 2 terms of a Donald Trump style. You know what I mean? Like over 16 years of America first policy. So like this stuff lasts longer. Like the next president needs to be an America first president, or you're just going to be right back where we started with all of this. And their first executive order will be, reversing 100 Trump error. And we literally no progress is made.
Yeah, that's going to be something interesting to keep in mind the next couple of years. We talked about when we went to Nassau Coliseum rally, remember? Like who's going to be the heir to MAGA. At the same time, like we're on day one here. Let's not worry too much about that. Moment, right? That will be fun. I think if Trump does deliver on all his America First promises and you see kind of like the fruits of that, playing out well, the next person, whether it be J.D. Vance or whoever kind of steps up, I'd guess J.D. Vance is likely at least going to be throwing his hat. If it works and then he were to throw his hat in the ring and he picks it up, then you could have
so we have 12 years of
you have enough time.
That's a long time to change things.
Yeah, you do. You're on the right track if you're doing the right thing. Perhaps you could reform all the ills, the deep state problems, a lot of our fundamental issues in 12 years. Perhaps it's a lot to ask.
Tall order.
Feeling optimistic here on Inauguration Day, the captain and I.
But funny enough though, if we're thinking of 2028 already, God, we inaugurate one guy, we're on to the next election already. The left doesn't have a strong bench. I mean, they're going to run Newsom and they're going to run Harris and maybe AOC.
I think Newsom's political career is over, buddy.
I hope so.
I think he's.
I hope so.
The fire's burned up. Whatever,
Did you see?
You had.
I believe it was Bill Maher and YouTube. Take it easy. I'm not calling for violence or revolt. This is just a quote from Bill Maher that Democrats in California should, I guess, revolt or, for YouTube's sake, complain harder to their Democratic leaders for letting the state burn the way it's been burning.
Yeah, I liked what Tucker Carlson said, that a like authoritarian Latino in a cape is going to probably show up in California in the next few years, like a Republican, and he's going to have to fix the whole thing. So hot off the presses, Trump's latest executive order. President Trump has issued an executive order that eliminates government requirements for low-pressure shower heads and low-flow toilets. We have our priorities right on day one, folks.
All right, baby.
I will tell you that those are really fucking annoying.
John Fetterman's going to love that one. Oh, yes.
Ever get those low pressure? The toilet one, maybe not as important, but I don't know about you, but when I take a huge dump, I need a very satisfying flush after, where it's like a waterfall. Whoosh. And the fact that sometimes you get these ones that just barely choke down your turd, it's really just,
I always laugh, you know. I don't know if you ever worked in any of the buildings in the city where you got, you know, like a 25-story, basically just a trap door opens up and it shoots down a straight pipe 20 stories.
Speed of light, yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So some of the more serious ones I'll read off to you folks because Donald Trump is busy, and then we will play some of his what he had to say. Got a couple clips, thought it was interesting, and then we could also comment on the fact that Dr. Fauci got a pardon, which was infuriating this morning.
Boy,
all right, let's stick to one thing at a time. Though I know me and Captain are just going to free ball it here tonight.
Yeah.
So number two, besides the 78 era actions that are now gone, thrown out the window, implemented a regulatory freeze to halt new regulations until full control of government is achieved. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Freezing federal hiring with exceptions for the military and other specified categories. All right. Requiring all federal workers to return to full-time in-person work immediately. That one I tremendously agree with. I remember Biden tried to do something to prevent that ahead of time. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the courts. Probably where that'll go. Directing every federal department and agency to address the ongoing cost of living crisis. All right, good. Withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement, saving over $1 trillion. Good. Don't agree with that one. Don't think we should be part of any international agreement.
Green New Deal, Paris Climate, all of them out.
Sending a letter to the United Nations to formally announce the U.S. withdrawal from the Paris Climate.
I thought we were getting out of the United Nations.
Or NATO. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Restoring freedom of speech and preventing government censorship of free speech. Good. Ending the weaponization of government against political adversaries of the previous administration. Very good.
Number 8 is stupid. Because Trump's in office. That's what really puts an end to it. Mark Zuckerberg is now Mark Zuckerberg because, you know, he's got to put the MAGA hat on. He admitted that, you know, basically the 2020 election was rigged. He admitted that COVID is a giant cover-up and the two do men have been right since day one. Admitted that very sentence on Joe Rogan podcast said the two do men were right since day one. And, you know, this is only happening because Trump's in office. If Kamala won, Mark Zuckerberg would have never gone on to Joe Rogan and talked about any of this. And government censorship would have been alive and strong. This is really just based on who's in the White House. I don't think you need to make an executive order about it.
You said it best, Zuckerberg, right? I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't even like. I bet you if Mark Zuckerberg had a choice, he probably would choose to side with freedom of speech.
Yes, it's better for his
fundamental values. I do believe that, right? The thing is, he ain't a patriot because those things only have meaning when they're tested, and then you stand up for them.
And you stand against them.
And he was put in the position to theoretically have to stand up for them, and he didn't do it. He bent over and took it up the ass, right? And now because the winds have shifted, he's now going with the way the wind is, right? And at least with him, man, you know, at least with him, could you at least apologize? There was none of these people are going to give apologies.
None of them.
That's the only way. Look, man, this is a good life advice here from the two doom men. Like, if you were wrong and you're out there talking about how you were wrong or you were wronged, and because you were wronged, you then did some wrong things, just apologize. If you are wrong. It's liberating to apologize. Go ahead.
There's a lot of people in Silicon Valley. There's a lot of people in DC. There's a lot of people in Hollywood. There's a lot of people in the music industry. There's a lot of people in every industry that has media attached to it. Right now, they're all simultaneously doing this. Putting on a MAGA hat, putting on a smile, because they are scared shitless of what the repercussions are going to be against going against the tide here now. And it's all fake. And the second, I can promise you, we're getting towards, November 2027 or whatever, and the campaign trail starts, the people who are all pro-MAGA now, Zuckerberg and Bezos was at the inauguration. all these types of guys right back. Oh, Kamala 2028. Blah, blah, blah,
Whatever.
Blah.
Whatever way they're gonna just like Game of Thrones reference reminds me of like Robert's Rebellion, and Tywin Lannister sat it out until the very end to kind of see who was going to win, and then he decided which way he was going to go.
You want to talk Game of Thrones and WWE? Melania Trump showing up as the Undertaker, and she might as well just sung "The Reigns of Castamere."
She looked like so many different things. She looked like the Undertaker, the OG Undertaker. She looked like Michael Jackson. She looked like the Hamburglar from
your wife
McDonald's.
posted that.
Yeah.
Cracked
There's a lot of things. She's got style, man. She's got drip. I gotta say. One of the things about Bezos, Zuckerberg, obviously Elon Musk has been huge in this whole thing being there. So exclude even him. I saw like Bernie Sanders and a lot of these Democrats now are like, oh, we live in an oligarchy, and like some of the progressive.
Yeah, I saw Bernie Sanders tweet about that.
Shut the fuck up, right? Like you guys, this past 4 years leaned on all of those social media companies to censor normal people, to just curate things we posted, to censor us during COVID because we said things you didn't like. It's all been proven now at this point. So I don't want to hear like, oh, no, now they're on Trump's side and it's an oligarchy. Yeah, well, what about when they were on your side?
Yeah, then it was fine.
Then it wasn't an oligarchy? Yeah. Bernie Sanders had nothing to say about that.
Get
out of here, please.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to listen to a little bit of Trump's speech? Let's see some other things that are going on. That he has actually signed an executive order basically pardoning 1,500 January 6th prisoners.
Thank God.
Even Enrique Tarrio is one of them. He was one of the guys who got the worst. One of the Proud Boys guys got the shaft. He wasn't even there. They give him 20 years.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Designating the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. I don't like the drug cartels, but I'm not looking for a new war or new terrorist group. So it remains to be seen how that one plays.
That'll be interesting to see because, I mean, there's always the conspiracy that basically the U.S. government's working with the cartels. Yeah. So, maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it doesn't. Well, I did see some crazy things that the Dreamer program has ended. Yeah. So that's going to be an uproar. I warned a few people. I said, Trump's getting inaugurated on Monday. This mass deportation is going to go into effect. A lot of things are going to change. And racism is, as me and in social media land, podcast land, media land, racism is the biggest clickbait you can possibly have. Yep. So deporting millions of illegal immigrants, ending the Dreamer program and stuff like that, CNN or any of these Trump derangement holdout, legacy media companies that still are not connected with reality, things are going to get pretty racist over the next few weeks.
It's interesting because with all that was another thing he did, right? He signed an executive order basically declaring a state of emergency at the border and essentially shutting down illegal crossings. They're going to take a hard line on that, right? And they also turned off the CBP-1 app that the migrants were using to kind of get processed and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And there was a video right off the bat of a few migrant women crying. This is now going viral. Yeah. What do you think is the proper response to that? Because I was interested to see how that's treated, because I understand. I understand this. Hold on. I understand the psychological aspect of that, right? Where that, like, all those things that now occur that come with having a secure border and having to deport people, like they're going to immediately make these comparisons. Look, they're putting them on the buses. They're going to Auschwitz now, and like things like that. And I've been saying the past couple of years, like, as soon as that starts happening, then it really tests the mettle if you're committed to like following through on the policy or not, right? But forget about that because we're not even that far yet. Do you think, I saw someone say we shouldn't be like making light of or making fun of those videos, because a lot of people kind of were. We should just kind of be ignoring them, because we shouldn't be pouring fuel on the flame of the other side who's going to then take those videos and be like, you see, he's Hitler and he's sending them off to the camps now. We should just outright be ignoring them or making like very good principled points. Instead, I saw some pages like Mostly Peaceful Memes had, which I love the page. I'm not criticizing them or anything, but like they're making fun of it with American Psycho, and he's wearing the headphones, listening to the thing. And he's like, I'm just going to be listening to this lady crying all day, or whatever. Now, like, I thought that was pretty funny, right? But how does that get used? So, what do you think is a proper?
Let me point something out here. Out of all the past 4 years, of all the videos of the migrants lining up, marching through South America and Mexico to get to America, it was all military-aged men. And now on Biden's last day, we have female immigrants coming over the border. Okay, so my response to all this is get fucked. Pour the fuel on it, make it as worse as possible. Because, I mean, it's bad to say that, don't get me wrong. But the people who are going to be exasperating this and, continuing the Hitler rant and the racism, it's all the legacy media that have lost all their power. That's who's going to be talking about it. I think it's going to be impossible to not pour gas on the fire. There's, I might be a jokester or whatever, but there's millions of people on social media apps that just want to watch the world burn and are they're going to enjoy this. And a lot of comedy is going to come from it. It's going to be sad, but listen, you're right. This is going to test our mettle, and this is what we voted for, right? So for the past 4 years, when something stupid happened, I looked people dead in the face and I said, this is what people voted for. Oh, gas is high. This is what people voted for. Oh, we're spending more money in Ukraine. It's a two-way street. This is what we voted for. It's not going to be pretty. People need to understand that. That's the one thing I've learned about getting involved in politics is the role of leadership. Lonely at the top of the mountain, the crown weighs whoever wears it. To be a leader is not to please everyone.
Oh, yeah.
To be a leader is to do what needs to be done, and whoever you piss off along the way is who you piss off along the way. And that's the way I look at this immigration problem. It's not that I don't want immigrants in this country. Our grandparents immigrated here. I don't want this mass illegal open border of illegal immigration happening. And it's funny because somebody I was talking to about this said, well, I was saying, the mass deportation is going to happen. And she went, well, they're going to start with the criminals. And I go, newsflash, you know what they all have in common? They're all criminals. They all broke the law to get here. They're all being dealt with first.
I guess you could say us laughing at their misfortune is going to be framed as part of the problem. But here's what I found actually what I was talking about before. So again, it was mostly peaceful memes, quote tweeting the lady crying. And it's American Psycho listening to. I think that's American Psycho, right?
That's American Psycho. Yeah.
And he's wearing a MAGA hat, listening to it. We're full up, dog. To be honest with you, I think it's time to fix that. I do think Tom Homan, as we've shown on the show, is the guy to have balls of steel and finish this thing through. I think actually, kind of the proper response, perhaps people should think about when these tear-jerking videos come up is like, how do you think Laken Riley's mom felt? When she was found out that her daughter was killed. Right now, obviously, I'm talking about criminals did that, but if we're gonna fix this fucking problem, you have to commit and fix it. And yes, people who broke the law who aren't violent, we got to fix that. That's another aspect of it, right? And then later, once it's fixed, yes, you can have an organized, methodical process to
a shorter process,
vet people coming in based on merit and whatever. Is that even gonna happen? I don't know. But that's how it should happen. That's how we should do it, right? There should be some sort of method to patching people into the club, right? First, they're a prospect, then they go through whatever it is the club makes them do, then they become a full member. They get a patch,
Remain in Mexico, they're hang-arounds. Green cards, they're prospects. And then citizenship, they're patched in.
Something like that. All right, let's listen back to some of Trump's speech, and I think we'll do Trump's speech. We'll give our thoughts kind of on that, and then we'll maybe end it with Fauci and that stuff because that ruined my morning this morning.
Yeah, we gotta comment though. Basically, how the entire inauguration speech was just this guy fucked up. I'm gonna fix it. I was really just. I know it would have been super unprofessional, but I wish he threw some harder shade at like
throw
Biden.
pretty hard shade.
No,
dude.
I'm talking about like turn around and look him in the eye and be like,
yeah, that'd been a bit much. That would have been a bit much. We're not trying to come to fisticuffs on the thing. So I skipped ahead now to kind of the spicy part of this, which is like about 2 minutes towards the beginning. I was impressed. I'm not going to lie. Let's play it. We'll give our comments. And then after this, I just skipped ahead to timestamp on this one. I have like 3 other videos, which are pre-cut. Other people shared, which I thought were interesting. So let's do it.
And my fellow citizens, the golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first.
I love that right out of the gate. I do love that.
You know what I really appreciated about this speech? He did not talk about unity. He did not talk about working with both sides of the aisle. You know what I mean? Like he didn't talk about any of that. It's an America First agenda. We are getting to work, and we are going to make America great again. As long as we stick, I'm glad.
I love that.
We're not here to work across the aisle anymore. We're here to dominate and make America great again.
I agree. We won with a mandate. We're going to execute our agenda. Now, is that what's actually going to happen or not? Right? Like I was a bit miffed when he was buddy with President Obama the other day. Right? I'm like, no. Remember, these guys are the evil fucking villains of this whole thing, and I don't think we should even be like. To an extent, there should be some decorum, but like the joking around, smiling, hey, ribbing each other, like no. You're an evil fucking villain. But anyway, I agree with you in principle. It's part of what you're saying is part of the reason why I didn't like the buddy with Obama.
Right. I mean, I have a problem with that picture. I get it. They're laughing, but it's one snippet out of a conversation that we don't know. And you know what I mean? Like Batman and the Joker have talked before. You know what I mean? Like
good comparison. I like it.
You know what I'm saying? Like so,
sometimes sometimes they have a laugh together, you know, the Batman and the Joker. Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough, Captain. Let's keep going here, and because this was the spicy bit of Trump's speech.
Sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end.
Look, again, man, you ever like watching something and you feel kind of like awkward because of what people are saying? I kind of felt like almost like that in this bit, because this is literally the very beginning of Trump's speech. Yeah. He got a couple like preliminary pleasantries out of the way within the first like minute, and he's just going right into it. That the government was weaponized, talking about all the people literally sitting right behind him, like within the first like 2 minutes of the speech. I was expecting him to talk about shit like that. Not in the first like 2 minutes, though. No, major white pill again. Two white pills from Trump in the last 2 episodes for me.
This is a new era. You know, Trump, you know, we theorized that Trump went in the first time thinking he could work with these people. This time, I don't think they have to work with him now.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it, right? Perhaps that is what they're going to have to do. Let's just do another minute, and then we'll move on to the next clip. I forget how long it is.
Will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free.
I hope so.
Definitely the prosperous part.
Will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before. I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success. A tide of change is sweeping the country. Sunlight is pouring over the entire world, and America has the chance to seize this opportunity like never before. But first, we must be honest about the challenges we face. While they are plentiful, they will be annihilated by this great momentum that the world is now witnessing in the United States of America. As we gather today, our government confronts a crisis of trust. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad.
That was a great rhyme, by the way. I want to know who
fails
wrote
to
that. A
protect our
continuing
magnificent-
catalog of catastrophic events abroad. That is
Dr.
a
Seuss.
fantastic line.
Law-abiding American citizens, but provide sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals, many from prisons and mental institutions that have illegally entered our country from all over the world. We have a government that has given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders or, more importantly, its own people. Our country can no longer deliver basic services in times of emergency, as recently shown by the wonderful people of North Carolina, been treated so badly. And other states who are still suffering from a hurricane that took place many months ago. Or more recently, Los Angeles, where we are watching fires still tragically burn from weeks ago without even a token of defense. They're raging through the houses and communities, even affecting some of the wealthiest and most powerful individuals in our country, some of whom are sitting here right now. They don't have a home any longer.
Mel Gibson.
That's interesting. But we can't let this happen. Everyone is unable to do anything about it. That's going to change. We have a public health system that does not deliver in times of disaster, yet more money is spent on it than any country anywhere in the world. And we have an education system that teaches our children to be ashamed of themselves in many cases, to hate our country despite the love that we try so desperately to provide to them. All of this will change starting today, and it will change very quickly.
Direct.
One of my, he didn't say it in this clip, but one of my favorite lines was the era of common sense starts now.
Dude, yeah, it's a direct repudiation of many of the things that the man sitting right behind him did the past 4 years. And again, like right to his face. Now, no, he didn't turn around and look at him, but right in front of him, man. It says something. I think back to like when President Obama was elected and he ran on like some sort of anti-establishment energy, which is why a lot of people ended up voting for him. But then he gave his speeches and he acted like none of that existed in a sense, right? Like, yes, he shook hands with everybody. We're going to work together, Republicans and Democrats, to do this and that. Whatever, exactly what you were saying before, right? So I appreciate the fact of how far we have now come, where where at least Trump has now kind of shifted the way that you do business becoming president, where you could talk shit about them and they're literally sitting right fucking behind you directly. Yeah. And that bit of honesty will go a long way with people. They will, I don't know how exactly to even like put this in words. It just means something that there is a president who does actually say some things that are true. Does he lie? Yes. But there are things he says like that are fucking valuable for him to say on the soapbox right in front of the whole country. Yeah.
And not obviously we're biased and we don't like him, but I think it's going to go down without a shadow of a doubt that Joe Biden was one of the worst, if not the worst president this country has ever had. He has been a sham since day one. There has been nothing normal about his presidency, from the election to the COVID lockdowns, to counting votes for days after, to having, remember his inauguration behind the fences in a ghost town of DC?
And how they kept saying the whole time, like, God bless our troops.
Yeah.
Remember that? Like throughout the whole, which we picked up on, we're like, I know they do say God bless our troops, but like, why do they keep saying that after like every single sentence that they had back at Biden's inauguration? Why?
I mean,
and it was because they were like leaning on the fact that like, hey, in my opinion, psychologically, or they're sending a message like the military follows us, right? We got the guns, power, and the power right now. So God bless our troops, right? Like not you, the rube who tried to storm the Capitol on January 6th. That's what I thought was kind of the message, trying to be subliminally or something.
Possibly, you know, I mean, but there was just nothing, him falling asleep, him falling, him stumbling, mumbling.
Him trying to force the jabs into everyone's fucking arm.
Yeah,
whole
just
time.
I mean, this has been a disaster. Record inflation, gas prices going up, food prices going up. 2 months into the presidency, war breaks out between Russia and Ukraine. The end of his presidency, forget that, the beginning of his presidency, he simply pulled out of Afghanistan in a shitty way just because he couldn't allow it to happen the way Trump planned for it.
Yeah. Right.
You know, like he
13 people got killed, 13 Americans
ruined the entire pullout just because Trump had it squared away and he couldn't allow that to happen.
How about the past fucking 2 months, bro?
Yeah.
Which I said it now, I'm a broken record. That felt like from the moment we did our 7-hour stream here on election night till today, felt like the longest period of time I have ever experienced in my life. To be honest, I swear. It really did. Like, it feels like that was ancient history when we had everybody here drinking coffee at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever. The amount of stuff that Biden did in the lame duck session, I don't know. Maybe I'll look this up after this episode for next episode. He has to have broken a record with the amount of like actions he took. You know, we'll get into the pardons later in the last couple seconds of his presidency here. You know, escalating the war in Ukraine by launching weapons into Russia. Just over and over and over again. And, you know, and then like what we talked about in the last episode, but he actually, like, then there were things that he didn't get done, which was the ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. Like, it took Trump within, you know, before he was president to get something like that done. But my goodness, what a disaster. Just without a doubt, one of the worst presidents ever. In my opinion, probably, now I'm not an expert in presidential history, but probably the most corrupt president of all time.
Easily.
Not just during the term, but prior to the term. Burisma, Ukraine, Hunter Biden, the big guy, the kickbacks, all shit. Now covering up for people, without doubt, most corrupt president of all time.
Even this election cycle under his watch, he had one bad debate, and they just installed Kamala Harris. We circumvented 250 years of precedent and tradition and values of how this country has ran since day one,
while crying about protecting our sacred democracy at every single turn. All right, let's go on to. Okay, so now we're gonna get up to. I split up a couple things based off of what other people posted. Here is, of course, it's me. I think war is the most important thing. So here's what Donald Trump kind of had to say about the wars, and I did think it was his best moment of the speech.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families.
The one thing Kamala and Joe applauded and stood up for.
Yeah, how could you not clap for that? They stood up, too. Look at that. Oh, he had a look at her, too.
George Bush is sitting down, and I'm pretty sure Hillary Clinton is, too.
Thank you.
So, look, man, you know, again, I will be here the next 4 years to nitpick every little tiny thing Donald Trump does and why it was good or bad or why he's full of shit or not. But I do think that the fact that he wants to be peacemaker, that is the popular talking point amongst the MAGA group, that we want to make peace, not have war, is fantastic. We need to stop with the empire, military-industrial complex-led insanity of proxy wars and being antagonistic around the world. It's going to lead to the end of the fucking human race. And I got kids now, right? I don't want that to occur. So if that is what he's going to do, then I'm all for it. I love that little tidbit there from the speech.
Don't disagree.
All right, let's go on to our next one, which I thought was good too, and this backs up what he did what we said he did earlier with his executive orders.
After years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression, I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America.
No. Obviously,
you hear that, YouTube? Yeah. Did you hear that, YouTube? The 2020 election was rigged, YouTube. It was rigged. The COVID vaccine is poison.
Right. Let's see if that worked or not. Yeah, obviously, there was the whole thing behind the past couple of years was that government was putting pressure on the big tech platforms, right? So I do wonder now how it's going to be the next 4 years. Like you're seeing Zuckerberg, like we said before, and these guys sit behind Trump and go meet with him and kind of kiss the ring. Yeah. Is that actually going to carry through to policy on these platforms or not? Right? Like I even think about like our Instagram page, still like still ruined from a couple years during COVID, where we like a handful of things we posted that were controversial around COVID, and not even that so much. The big thing that gave us a knock on the Instagram page was the whole Azov Battalion Nazi thing. Mm-hmm. After that, I remember very clearly. After that, that's it. Engagement fell off a cliff, and it never really returned. So again, going back to Zuckerberg before, and now aligning himself with Trump, like, okay, don't make an apology to me, right? But could you at least undo the shadow banning on everyone and allow people? You're talking the talk of like we're going to allow freedom of speech and lean into this now, whatever. Yeah. Could you actually walk the walk, right? Like, could you unban our pages here as well?
Please,
like that. I'm not saying. The free marketplace of ideas. If me and Captain do a good show, we'll have a lot of followers and whatnot. That's fine, right? But I at least not like the fucking boot of Facebook on my throat for the past couple of years, because God forbid we say something slightly outside, or outside the Overton window or something like that. That's it. Now you're just screaming into a void.
When I know when free speech will be back in full swing. You ready? This will probably, it's not the N word. It's not the R word. It's none of these crazy words. When we can freely criticize Israel without.
Ooh, you're asking for a lot now. Bud.
Yeah. That's when free speech will be back.
Yeah. You're asking for a lot.
When I could give my honest opinion of Israel and Benji on this podcast with zero repercussion, then we have free speech.
I agree with you. That might be a battle for another day, probably.
As we cut this part of the episode out.
You got to watch our last episode, me and Garrett, which was good. But I think back to what I said a million times. What it was 9mm SMG on Twitter said. It's like you're going to get a Zionist in this election. You're going to get one either that'll give you nothing that you want, or one that'll give you some of what you want, right? And perhaps giving us some of what we want with this Zionist, Donald Trump, will pave the way to freedom of speech and being able to criticize things that are off limits now within the beginning part. Yeah. Like, we're not even going to get to that part if we're, all dead or something like that, because we got into a nuclear war with Vladimir Putin. Right. Yeah. So that's we'll see as we get there. Any other thoughts on that before we go on to the next clip I got? Which one is probably going to like this one? All right. This one, I have some interesting, deep thoughts on, but this one got Elon Musk really happy, and it's about
manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars.
Dude, I tried so hard asking Grok on Twitter to draw me a picture of Donald Trump on Mars, planting the American flag, and every image it generated looked really goofy and it didn't come out well. I was going to use it in the thumbnail, but it just didn't work out. I tried maybe 30 times, but look at Elon Musk over here.
Yep. Look at Barron is done with Elon.
I love Barron, man. He's got an interesting future ahead. He's somebody to keep our eyes on, man. So interesting, right? Trump referenced Manifest Destiny, and a lot of his speech outside of this part, he did reference expansionism, like he wants to expand kind of the territory
Canada, Greenland, Gulf of
He went
America.
after Panama Canal hard and
Yep.
Panama now directly, you know, the involvement with China and whatever. I don't per se like that, but it's interesting when it comes to a place like Mars, which doesn't have any humans on it to fuck over. So that is, I'm okay with that, right? Like, I think it's cool. And I'm thinking back to Daryl Cooper's podcast with Tucker Carlson and the psychological or philosophical argument he made, where every country or age kind of has its foundational myths, and you need to kind of base your society around them in order to have like a shared common purpose or value, or like, how do you get people to like follow you? You know, right now we've been based off of like the World War II foundational story in a sense, right? But like, if Donald Trump does launch the golden age of the next 300, 400 years of America being awesome, I could see the fact that we went to Mars, colonized it, planted the American flag in the dirt there as like the foundational story of the next age of America, right? And I wonder if that's kind of what Donald Trump is thinking here. I think he does understand that dynamic. People make him out to be an idiot. I don't think he is whatsoever. I do think he understands that dynamic, that you have to give people like a vision, right? And then that vision, although it might be in the past and at some point in the future, will be the foundational story of the next couple hundred years of your society. Yeah. Like that.
Do you think that Joe Biden will be considered the Hitler? Like, you know, in 200 years from now, like instead of everything being pinned to Hitler, it'll be pinned to Joe Biden?
I don't know about that, but thank you, because that was the second part that I just forgot about my point, right? Like, part of the foundational story will be the fact that we went through this period of insane corruption with evil people in the deep state, and that was vanquished, and we got past that, right? Like, kind of like World War II in a way, you know, and that will be, and that's a great story, to be honest with you, to base your society around for the next 100 years or whatever it is, right? Like, the government got too big, it got too corrupt, people acted immorally, Americans did something about it, they fixed it, and we went back to our foundational values of private property,
we went to
individual
Mars.
liberty, freedom, and embracing those values, we traveled across the stars and colonized the next planet in the solar system, and we planted. Right? Think about that, right? Think about that.
I gotta agree with you on that. Yeah.
And then in 200 years, there'll be another Daryl Cooper who will say some controversial shit, and everybody will lose their fucking mind. Right? Well, actually, it wasn't that way. We killed a lot of Martians along the way, or something like that. You know what I mean? And then we'll start the whole process over again.
I gotta say, you definitely
real quick. By the way, Daryl Cooper's first episode of his new podcast series about World War II just came out. Go check it out.
Winston Churchill?
Remember that whole thing for a couple of weeks? It was so controversial. That just came out, the first part. That's called the Germans' War.
Dude, I still try to talk to people about that. And the second you start off a conversation with Winston Churchill was the bad guy, you could see like people go white as a ghost and like just, yeah. I've dropped that line on a few boomers, and boy, I'm surprised they didn't punch me in the face.
Interesting, right? Interesting that they have that reaction.
Yeah. You definitely put a lot more thought into this. I didn't think of like Mars exploration at all. I don't really, not that I don't care, but I don't care. I'm more interested in America taking over the Panama Canal.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a bit more realistic. It's a bit more short term for sure. I would love for America to go to Mars, but I don't know. Maybe prove to me first that we went to the moon and it wasn't, done
fair
on
enough.
a TV set.
I think I like the idea as almost an abstract thought that we do have to get off this rock and secure another place as a backup in case things go wrong.
Yes.
However, not at the expense of whatever it is we got going on here and people we got going on here, right? Because I think I made this point on Twitter a few weeks ago where I was like, I bet you like Elon Musk views that as like an existential threat to humanity if we don't have another place to go. And he kind of shown his true colors the past couple of weeks that he's willing to ban people and censor people that kind of disagree with him on the H-1B thing. I bet you if for whatever reason there was a mass pushback against government spending money on the Mars project. I wonder what Elon would think about freedom of speech in that regard. But I don't know.
I wonder if Doge is going to think, if the Doge Department of Government Efficiency is going to see that it is efficient to have a program that funds exploration to Mars.
Right. In theory, no. Like,
maybe.
If there's stuff there that we might need, then yes.
Well, the joke I was going to make was they must have found oil on Mars. We're going to go there. We'll be there within the next 4 years.
Yeah.
How long does it take to get to Mars? Theoretically,
we're getting quicker. I think 6 months at the moment. It's like takes about the amount of time that once the like Columbus and them figured out where the New World was. That's how long about it took them to get there, right? So like that's where we're at now. I like to think of it that way as well. Give it another 100 years, then we'll be able to fly there in a couple hours, perhaps, or something like that. No, I just do like the concept, the idea of that. I think it's an important long-term goal for humanity. I'd like to see at the end of my lifetime, perhaps humans actually like step foot on Mars. That'd be pretty cool,
Yeah, I mean, it would be as cool as all the boomers getting to watch that TV show about the guy walking on the moon.
Right. Yeah. Well, we know. That'll be interesting. That'll be an interesting
That's the other problem. This is AI. It's AI. Look at it.
If me and Garrett are still alive, I can't wait for that podcast in 50 years about debating if they actually went there or not, like live in the moment. Yeah. Maybe we'll watch the Mars broadcast.
What if the Earth is round but Mars is flat?
Maybe. Right? Who knows? All right. Any other thoughts on his speech, optimism, anything like that, Cap, before we shift perhaps here to Fauci?
I mean, I've been wanting to talk about this briefly, but I mean, we've just been playing video games and talking about war. So, I mean, things that I am excited for. Truthfully, I mean, it's great that, I really believe we're going to end the war in Russia. I really believe things are going to calm down in Israel. But I am super, super excited for RFK Jr. To make America healthy again. I might be a fat fuck from time to time, but I do enjoy eating healthy. I've worked out since I was in high school. I might not be in the best shape or anything like that, but I have been trying to tell people our food, our water, our air, our fertilizer, our medicine, everything is poisonous. The pharmaceutical company isn't interested in losing clients by curing diseases. Skincare companies are not interested in clearing up your skin and losing your business. You know what I mean? Like, so they put these chemicals and crap in our food and stuff, and it all works together. It makes you sick. It makes you break out. It makes you have mental disorders. Cancers, all this stuff. What really set me in stone with this was go into a grocery store. 99% of the food was not in this grocery store 99 years ago. 99 years ago, 99% of the ailments we have now did not exist. Where did it come from? Either gain of function or we've been poisoned and made sick. You tell me, Dr. Fauci, you're a free man. You can do whatever the hell you want now.
Yeah.
You
can. And that'll be interesting to watch the next couple of years, like what RFK is able to do or fix. I've seen a lot of libertarians push back on this to an extent. They'll be like, hey, we don't believe in the government kind of telling us what we can and can't make and can and can't put in our food and things like that. I'm like, yeah, I agree. The thing is, though, the government has been kind of like subsidizing and pushing some of these things to get put in our food, our water, etc. The past couple of years, right? The fact that like hydrogenated corn oil or whatever is in everything is because the government's fucking subsidizing the production of corn.
Listen,
like they're creating this negative incentive structure that then makes these corporations use these ingredients that are cheap because the government's subsidizing them. That then goes into our food and kills us. If like. Okay, I'm saying let's say yellow 5 dye. We don't make it illegal, but the government stops making it so cheap that that's what they put into everything.
Well, look,
at least
I look at it this way. For all the libertarians who are pushing back on this, my one response is this word: chemtrails. Okay, they're literally poisoning the air. Okay, so F off. And number two, yes, it is our God-given American right to buy a 62-ounce Dr. Pepper, Diet Coke. Donald Trump drinks them by the gallon, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying let's get rid of the extra large soda at McDonald's.
Right.
That I don't care about. What I am saying is let's stop using seed oil and go back to cooking with tallow. Because there was an experiment with beef tallow. You know what that is, right? The animal fat that you could use to cook with.
Yeah.
They gave lab rats food that was created with that was cooked with beef tallow, and then they gave lab rats that were food cooked with seed oils. And the lab rats that had the tallow were basically impervious to liver disease and liver damage. No matter how much alcohol they pumped into their system, to these lab rats had
us. This is big for you.
These lab rats had an awesome time with these experiments. Yeah. And they couldn't get liver damage and they couldn't get liver disease and things like that. Now, don't quote, I'm no doctor. I only read an article, but sorry. You know what I mean? Like,
how about
at least just give us the choice, you know?
How about this? Here's a crazy thought coming from the crazy anarchist libertarian. How about the government just tells us the truth about stuff?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not even saying they have to regulate or force anything, right? But how about we put honest, good men in charge who actually do real science, figure out whatever the fuck it is to be figured out, and then they just advise you and tell you, hey,
Doritos will give you brain damage.
Right. We're not going to make them illegal. You can still eat them, right? But here's the honest to God truth. This thing is good for you. This thing is bad for you. Here's the information. Do with it what you will, right?
Yeah.
Now, that takes you trusting them. We're at the point now where even Donald Trump in his speech, there is zero trust, and we have to rebuild that trust, right? But in theory, if we are going to have a government, that is how I'd like for them to behave. So can we start moving back perhaps in that direction? Speaking of lab rats,
yes,
the
biggest lab rat of them all
time, Dr. Anthony Fauci snuck in this morning with a pardon from former President Joe Biden. Let it be known that this day, Joseph R. Biden, President, blah, 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 have granted onto Dr. Anthony Fauci a full and unconditional pardon for any offenses against the United States which he may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through the date of this pardon arising from or in any manner relating to his service as a director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, as a member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force or the White House COVID-19 response team, or as a chief medical advisor to the president. And that is it. Dr. Fauci is pardoned right off the bat. Not just pardoned, but pardoned specifically around COVID and his duties.
Nothing
as
screams
director.
Guilty like a 10-year, 11-year blanket pardon.
Yeah. In the data,
nothing screams guilty. There has to be something we could do. There has to be some way around this.
I have an idea. Just investigate him anyway. And then bring it to the point where you'd file the charges, but he's got a pardon and you can't actually charge him or put him in jail or anything, right? But you hold the investigation and the whole thing out for everyone to see honestly, right? And then you get to the point where I feel like you get to the point where you make the pardon have to do something, right? Make the pardon actually have to matter instead of just whatever. There's a pardon, so why even try to do it at this point? Make the pardon actually have to work.
Apparently, he could still be investigated and prosecuted in state courts. The pardon doesn't cover that. And I think Ron DeSantis says he's going to do exactly that, and I pray he does. My question, and neither of us are lawyers, and I don't even know how we figure this out, but RICO case, right? They took the mob down with a RICO case. Does a pardon protect you from being found guilty in a RICO case?
I don't know. It's a good question. I'm all for it. Whatever way we can get to the bottom of this thing. And I'll be honest with you, honestly, an honest investigation of exactly what happened, bring it all to light, put it all on the table, like I was just saying before with the food and stuff like that, put it all out there for everyone to see, honestly. I will say, though, the timing of the pardon is interesting, January 1st, 2014.
Yeah.
Why are they pardoning him back to that exact date? I'm going to guess it's another admission of guilt, and that's probably when they started fucking with the gain of function research stuff, right? Yeah. Remember, SARS-CoV-1 was kind of like around that time, 2010 and after, like the early 2000 teens, right? So that's probably when he was messing with this stuff, which then later ended up becoming COVID. and he tried to cover the whole thing up. So he's.
I wonder if a pardon protects you from treason.
It's a good question. I don't know. Not legal scholars here, but regardless of whatever, it's. I tweeted this morning, like, for me and you, dude, it's vindication. Think back.
We've been right. Yeah,
dude. Think back to like that.
Even the pardon for his entire family.
Oh yeah, with 9 minutes left.
Nothing screams guilty.
Left, it was at like 11:51. Biden pardoned his entire family.
And don't think that was not planned to the second.
Oh yeah, it was. I want to stick with Fauci here real quick. He's not getting off the hook that fast with us yet, dude. Just think back to the craziest part of COVID, wherein people were in mass fucking hysteria mode, and like this is within again Two Doom Men podcast history. We were doing the podcast at that time, and we were being honest about shit and having conversations with people in real life, and they were shitting on us, not like it's us, so we push back and fight with people, whatever. But they were like shitting on you for fucking criticizing Dr. Fauci at the time. People were singing his praises, literally dancing, making songs about him. The Fauci ouchie. All this shit, right? And you were made out to be the fucking loon. The person who questioned him, were made out to be the loon. Now he needs a pardon to avoid criminal prosecution. We were right, motherfuckers, and you were wrong, right? Please,
he wasn't even charged with
Mark
anything.
Zuckerberg, apologize now. I will forgive you, right? But think about that. Next time some shit like that happens, just be a little bit more skeptical. Right. And your friends that are, this goes beyond even just me and you, because how many other fucking people were going through this shit? Right. Your friends who are skeptical about things, listen to what they have to say. I'm not saying you believe everything they have to say, but give them a fair shake. Every time Garrett comes on the show and he wants to talk to me about the earth and the shape and whatever, I give him a fair shake. Right. Do I bust his balls and whatnot? Yes. But I am listening to what he has to say because it's interesting and I'm not being a dick about it. Right. So fucking don't do that again next time.
Well put. Yeah, just heartbreaking too. I just have to have hope that there is still some way he will be brought to justice. Maybe vigilante justice will be the way. Who knows?
No, I'm not all for it. Yeah, here's an interesting thought. I don't see this. I'm not going to say this is 100% correct, but let me just say that some personal anecdotes, perhaps. Some people that I've seen that I know that were supporting what Luigi Mangione did don't seem to be supported or thinking that same way in this regard. That's an interesting little observation I've made.
Right.
I'm not saying it's a one-to-one, but I have seen some of the most outspoken people who literally support directly what Luigi Mangione did were Dr. Fauci supporters back during COVID. I don't know how you like make sense of that. That's interesting.
That must have been a hell of a red pill that they swallowed.
No. I don't think so, buddy. I think they haven't really changed. And I think
what is it?
You have to unpack that a little bit more in future episodes.
What is it called? The mind hold or something where everybody everybody just seems to forget what happened.
Yeah. Amnesia or something. Yeah. I do think I do think there's something to that too. Like perhaps some people recognize how wrong they were. And now they just kind of like pretend none of it happened or they weren't. They just kind of want to ignore it.
They're just hoping it was so long ago that, no, I was on your side the whole time. You just don't remember.
They just want to ignore so they don't have to confront the fact that they were such a dick and wrong.
NPCs.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, Cap? There was the maybe honorable mention here. I don't have any tweets of the week. Maybe this will just be...
Oh, I did get one.
Oh, you do? You do? Okay, so we can do that quick. But maybe this will just be my tweet of the week, and then I'll go look for yours real quick. But from Vice President Kamala Harris a couple days ago, the Equal Rights Amendment...
Oh, yes. How can we forget about this?
And it is the law of the land. The equality is a fundamental promise of our democracy. That is why the Equal Rights Amendment belongs in our Constitution. It makes our nation stronger, and it is the law of the land because the American people have spoken in states across our nation. History teaches us that civil rights are fought for and won with every generation. That continues to be true today, which is why I've spent my career fighting for freedoms and to expand opportunities for women and girls. It has always been clear that when we lift up women, we lift up children, families, communities, and all of society. Now Americans must continue to fight for a more equal and just nation where everyone has the opportunity to realize the promise of America. First of all, what the fuck does that even mean? I don't know. It's completely word salad. what does this Equal Rights Amendment even in theory do? The best part is a community note. The archivist of the United States charged with officially publishing ratified amendments has confirmed that the ERA was not ratified and based that analysis on binding legal precedent. There is no 28th Amendment. So on their way out, they made up a fake amendment to the Constitution that doesn't exist. And they thought that like passing amendments to the Constitution are tweets. Like you make a tweet saying you made an amendment, and now it's just she literally
worst
presidency
ever. It's the law of the land.
Law of the land. Yeah. So that's how you amend the Constitution now in Joe Biden
via Twitter,
via tweet. Yeah.
I've never seen a group of people so disconnected from reality.
Yep. All right.
I guess the people who voted for him, maybe, but
yeah, well, they had a rude awakening that came to them, right?
Oh no, their nightmare is just getting started. For all you people who are still asleep, hold on. It is not going to be okay. Run. You are in danger. It's all going to burn around you.
What was that? What was that thing that we listened to a long time? The that comedy thing that was like, damn it, I'm blanking on it. Like the different types of weed or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, it's from the movie.
They're coming.
Yep,
coming. Yeah, those like the different.
Andrew
levels.
Tate had a great line after Trump won. He's like, "To all you liberals, you should be very scared. It's all coming down. We're coming for you. They're going after the gays. No one will be transgender." And like he just wants to spread panic.
That's funny. I saw someone also tweeted. It was Trump on the phone, and it's like enact Project 2025 now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
If he had just ended the inauguration speech and being like, 2025 is real.
Yep. Here's Captain's Tweet of the Week.
It is. So it's, what was this movie? Well, anyway, it's from, I gotta expand this. I can't even see it.
Well, it's from my buddy Namrock, who I love. I'm always talking to him on
yes.
Twitter. Great meme maker on there.
Namrock, LOL. It is Hunter Biden playing video games with Anthony Fauci. It's from a movie. I think it was 40-Year-Old Virgin. You know how I know you're a criminal? How? My dad just gave you a pardon.
Yeah, man. It's interesting. And I think the pardon for Hunter goes back to that exact same date as well. I wonder if there's more there to meet the eyes.
Yeah, 2014 was a great year, huh?
I saw some people, again, I didn't get to vet this or look into this. I know there's been some chatter about this. Hey, man, maybe, I don't know, the game to function thing, Ukraine, the labs over there, maybe that is related to it. Hunter Biden was over there with Burisma at the time. Maybe it wasn't just Wuhan. Maybe it did have something to do.
Yeah.
COVID, I'm talking about. Maybe it did have something to do with the
maybe that's why Ukraine's so war-torn now. They destroyed all the labs. Who knows?
A lot of things we said on this episode probably going to get us banned. We'll see if these guys...
Well, if we got free speech, right? It's already an executive order. He signed it before we went on air.
You're right. Capitan, bring us home, buddy. We're done.
All right, Doom Nation. It's been another great installment of the Two Doom Men podcast. As we said before, the golden age of America and the Two Doom Men podcast starts now. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We will be back with you next week. As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and make America great again. Let's go, baby.